Have you ever been sitting quietly in a public place and suddenly realized someone standing next to you was trying to take your entire life away? That's exactly what happened to me. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. My name is Margaret Ellis. I'm 73 years old, and the moment it happened, I was sitting inside my local bank on a Tuesday morning that was supposed to be completely ordinary. The lobby was full, people waiting in line, the soft beeping of the number system, a teller counting bills behind the counter. Then my daughter Claire raised her voice. She pointed straight at me. "She has dementia," she told the branch manager, loud enough for everyone to hear. "She can't manage her money anymore." The entire room went quiet. Or you could feel people listening. Now let me ask you something. What would you do if your own child tried to convince strangers that you were mentally incapable, just to take control of your bank account? Would you argue? Would you shout? Would you defend yourself? I didn't. I simply looked at the manager, nodded slowly, and stayed completely calm. My daughter smiled when she saw that. She thought the silence meant she had already won. What she didn't know, what no one in that room knew, was that 3 weeks earlier, I had walked into this exact same bank and quietly set something in motion. Something that was about to turn this entire situation upside down, and in less than 5 minutes, the bank manager was going to discover it. Let me ask you something. When does a small favor quietly turn into something much bigger? Because looking back now, the signs were there long before that day at the bank. My daughter Claire is 45 years old, smart, confident, always ambitious. For years, she worked as a real estate agent and did very well for herself. Nice car, busy schedule, big plans. But about 3 years ago, things started changing. The housing market slowed down, deals stopped closing, commissions disappeared. And that's when the phone calls started. "Mum, could you help me out for a bit?" The first time, it was just $2,000. She said she needed it to cover a business expense until a sale closed. Of course I helped her. She's my daughter. Then a few months later, she needed $8,000, then 15, then $25,000 for what she called a new investment opportunity. Now I want you to imagine something. You spend 42 years working as a librarian, saving carefully, living modestly, building a retirement fund meant to last the rest of your life. And suddenly the person asking for pieces of it is your own child. At first, I believed every word she said. Why wouldn't I? But slowly, little things began to feel strange. Claire started asking very specific questions. "How much do you keep in savings, Mum? Which bank branch do you use? Do they let you manage everything online?" Then one evening she said something that stuck with me. "You know, Mum, sometimes people your age start forgetting things. Maybe I should help manage your finances." Now here's the irony. For 42 years, I worked in a library. My entire career depended on organization, memory, and attention to detail. I knew exactly what I was doing. But instead of arguing with her, I started paying attention, watching, listening. And one afternoon, completely by accident, I overheard Claire talking on the phone in my kitchen. She didn't know I was standing in the hallway. Her voice was calm, almost casual. "Once the bank believes she's not mentally capable," she said, "the account becomes mine to manage." I froze, because in that moment something became very clear. My daughter wasn't worried about me. She was planning something. And that's when I realized, if Claire was making plans behind my back, then I needed to make a plan of my own. But the move I made next, it was so simple that no one saw it coming. 2 weeks before the scene at the bank, I walked into that same branch completely alone. No daughter, no drama, no accusations, just a quiet Tuesday morning. Now let me ask you something. If you suspected someone was planning to take control of your finances, would you confront them right away? Or would you prepare first? I chose to prepare. When I entered the bank, I didn't ask for the branch manager. That would have attracted attention. Instead, I asked to speak with a junior banking officer named Evan Parker, 34 years old, polite, professional, the kind of person who still listens carefully when someone older speaks. We sat down in a small glass office near the back of the building, and I told him something that made him pause. I believe someone may soon try to convince this bank that I have dementia. You should have seen his face, surprised, confused, a little concerned. But then I opened my folder. Inside were several documents. First, a neurological evaluation from my doctor completed just a month earlier. It clearly stated that my cognitive health was normal for my age. Second, a signed letter from my attorney, Lydia Chen, confirming that I was fully competent and capable of managing my finances. Evan read every page slowly. Then I made a second request. I asked the bank to place restrictions on any third party attempting to gain control of my accounts without legal verification directly from my attorney. He nodded and entered everything into their system. But I wasn't finished. Because the next thing I did was the quietest move of all. I opened a brand new protected account, and within 15 minutes, I transferred 95% of my savings into it. Nearly $480,000, gone from the original account. The account Claire knew about now held just a few $1,000s. I didn't tell her. I didn't confront her. I simply waited, because if my suspicion was right, Claire would eventually reveal exactly what she was planning. And when she did, the trap she had set would snap shut. Just not on the person she expected. Now let's return to that moment inside the bank lobby. My daughter Claire was standing beside the manager with complete confidence, her arms folded, that small, satisfied smile on her face. She's been getting confused for months, Claire insisted. She shouldn't be managing money anymore. People nearby were pretending not to stare, but they were listening. Every word. The manager, Danielle Ruiz, looked uncomfortable. Situations like this are delicate for banks. If someone truly has cognitive issues, and they have a duty to protect the account. But if the claim is false, it becomes a very different problem. So he turned to me. "Mrs. Ellis," he said gently, "I just need to ask you a few questions." I nodded calmly. "What year is it?" 2026. "Who is the current president?" I answered immediately. "And do you know which branch you're in right now?" "The Maple Avenue branch, 2 blocks from the public library where I worked for 42 years. His eyebrows lifted slightly. Claire shifted beside him. "Well, of course she can answer simple questions," Claire said quickly. "That doesn't mean she's capable of managing hundreds of thousands of dollars." The manager turned toward his computer. He began pulling up my account records. And that's when something changed in his expression. His posture stiffened. His eyes scanned the screen again. Claire noticed immediately. "Well," she said, "you can see the account, right? I need to be listed as the financial controller." The manager slowly turned his monitor slightly toward us. "Actually," he said carefully, "Mrs. Ellis filed competency verification documents with us 3 weeks ago." Claire blinked. "What?" He continued scrolling. "There are also legal restrictions placed on third-party control requests without attorney authorization." The colour drained from Claire's face. But the real moment came next. The manager pointed at the account balance. "Also, this account currently holds $5,842.19. Silence. Complete silence. Claire stared at the screen like it had betrayed her. Because she knew exactly what that account used to contain. Nearly $500,000. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Where did the rest go? For the first time that entire morning, I smiled. But the answer I gave her next was something she never expected to hear. Claire kept staring at the screen like the numbers might suddenly change. $5,842. That was all the account showed. Just weeks earlier, she knew there had been almost $500,000 sitting there. My entire retirement savings after 42 years of careful work. Her voice came out tight. "Mum, where is the rest of the money?" Now remember, This entire scene started because she believed I was confused, that I couldn't manage my own finances, that I didn't understand what was happening. So I answered her very calmly. It's safe. The manager glanced between us, I continued. 3 weeks ago, I transferred the funds into a protected trust account managed by my attorney Lydia Chen. Claire's face changed instantly, because she understood what that meant. The money was no longer sitting in a personal account she could try to control. The trust required legal authorization and direct approval from me. No shortcuts. No sudden claims of dementia. No manipulation. The manager nodded as he checked the system again. Yes, he said quietly, the trust account documentation is all verified here. Claire's confidence completely disappeared. Just minutes earlier, she had walked into that bank, convinced she was about to take control of my finances. Instead, she had just revealed her plan in front of witnesses. I looked at my daughter and said something very simple. Claire, if you were worried about me, you would have helped me. I paused. But you weren't worried about me. You were worried about my money. She didn't respond. She just turned and walked out of the bank. And here's the truth that stayed with me after that day. Getting older doesn't mean you stop understanding people. Sometimes it just means people start underestimating you. And when they do, they never expect you to already be 3 steps ahead.